Thank you guys so much for joining us today. We're really excited. I just mentioned we have about 80 people that have registered to join us, and we're going to share with you what's coming with Huzi. We've got a wide variety of people that are joining the call. We've got some of our early adopters, people that have been with us for almost a year now, since Huzi initially rolled out last year, early summer last year. Some of you who have just been introduced to our platform, so we're excited to share with you. Who's going to be doing our presentation? We've got my partner, Rick Gray, Associate Rick Gray. He has been in the business for about 30 years in real estate. He is a national speaker and a real estate coach. He's on Amazon's multiple bestseller lists and just an incredible person. So excited for him to be on the call. And then of course, we've got Eric Post, the founder and CEO of Huzi, who's been in the real estate business and an entrepreneur for many, many decades. All right, let's get started. Rick, you want to take over?
Yeah, well, sure. Well, welcome everybody. We're super excited to have you guys. This is a sneak peek demo that Eric is going to be sharing with us on some of the things that we're building with Huzi. Now, some of you are already members and using Huzi. Some of you, this is probably the first time you've ever seen it. And I just wanted to share real quick. So last month, like Danielle said, was my 30th year as a real estate broker. So April was my anniversary. April of 94, I got licensed. So I've been through lots of stuff. I see several people on this call that I know really well, been through some things as well. But back in 2007, you guys remember 2007? I was in Portland, Oregon at the time, and I remember what happened in the real estate industry. It was really difficult. Things just kind of shut down. And there wasn't a lot of buyers anymore. So I was just accumulating listings, and it really took me about 2 years to figure out, 2 very painful years, that the market had shifted. And now we were doing short sales, we were doing distressed properties, and that was a whole new animal to me. And I remember thinking, okay, this is something I had to learn. So I learned it. I started doing a ton of short sales in 2009, but I really wish I would have caught on sooner. I was lucky that I had a friend in the industry who was really good at doing REOs and short sales. He introduced it to me. But I spent 2 years, guys, crying myself to sleep every night, like literally trying to figure out how I'm going to make this thing work. So fast forward, I finally figured it out, built a team. Nathan, who's on this call, we were sitting in my office here in Boise, Idaho, back in, it was either late November, I think it was actually December 4th, I have it in my old journal, of 2022, and we were starting to talk about Chat GPT. And I'd heard about AI a little bit, but I hadn't played with it. I'd seen Eric doing some posts on social media with this great new company idea he had called Huzi. I was like, oh, this is really cool. And then Nathan and I sat down and literally I logged in at Chat GPT. When I started playing with it, guys, 2 things hit me right away. Number one, I kind of got sick to my stomach. I was like, oh my gosh, number one, I have to learn this. This is incredible. I mean, I could see right away this was going to be the future, and I need to learn it. And then number 2, I need to teach my coaching clients. I mean, that's what I am as a real estate coach. Like, wow, if this is going to be what I think it is, my coaching clients all need to learn how to use this and build on this. I don't want to spend 2 years like I did back in 2007 being behind the 8 ball again. The game changed, and I was really slow to figure that out. This time I'm like, you know what? I'm going to align myself with people like Eric who are on top of this. I want to start playing the new game right now. So I reached out to Eric. We'd known each other years ago, but hadn't talked in a long time. Reached out to Eric. Long story short, I flew to Portland. He flew to Boise. We had multiple calls. And it's like, yeah, Huzi is really, I believe firmly, the future of real estate. And I think after today, and Eric shows you some of the stuff we're building, you guys are going to love it.
That's a big statement, buddy. Okay, here we go. The future of real estate. That is a big statement. Hi, guys. If I haven't met you before, my name's Eric. I'm the crazy guy that take on this project, and the only other people crazier than this are the people who are working with me, like Danielle and Rick here to do something like this. So I appreciate you guys know more than you know, seriously. So really what we're going to talk about today is Huzi. I want to show a little bit into the future, future being just June even. I'm going to show you some stuff that
Next month.
Yeah, in June. And, hopefully June 14th, 16th, we'll figure that out exactly, but in June. And, but it's really not about AI. We're talking a lot about AI today, but really at the heart of the problem and what the passion is behind the project for me and the whole team is how do we improve the home buying experience? At the root of it, how do we make this experience a better thing? We look around and what makes a community a great community is great jobs, people enjoying each other, a safe and secure place to live. Housing is one of the foundations, right, of great communities. And so if we can contribute to that, fantastic. And so we're going to contribute that both through some AI and some tech platforms, But also Huzi's more than that. We do have a team of like coaches that you guys are seeing here. We run a community, we do live classes, we have an agent services department with world-class people that were closing transactions. So it's really a leverage. We're really talking about a performance leverage platform. Okay. So in the chat, please, as I'm talking, if you have use case ideas, questions, first impressions, doubts, something I skipped over, went too fast on, put that all. Rick and Daniel will monitor the chat. Also just comments. I'm going to read through the chat later after this, and just general first impressions are going to be really, really important. We do have some ideas about what we're building and what we're bringing to the market, but what we're building and bringing are for specific people. And so we want to hear from these specific people and put your fingerprints on it. And we want to bake that, your great ideas into the product offering, because this is all for people here, right? So let's start sharing the screen. I just want to set a little bit of a stage here and go over what we're going to show in the next few minutes. Can you guys all see this slide here? Okay, perfect. All right. So I just cheeky, hey, we bet your software can't do this because something like this has never been built before. So a little cheeky slideshow here. What I'm going to go through their intros, doing the backstory. I'm going to jump right into actually the future for June and what we're going to be a version of what we're going to launch with. So I'm going to show you some wireframes, some medium resolution wireframes, but we're going to walk through that. And I'm going to show you exactly the features and some specific use cases. And during that time, please speak up, blow up the chat if you have any questions. Then we're going to get into the live product that some of you guys are in right now, what we're calling Phoenix or V1. And we're going to do some live use cases, and we'll go to a Q&A. I just want to point out,
guys, wireframes, if you don't know, those are just drawings of what we expect it's going to look like, previews of what we're building. That's what a wireframe is, in case somebody didn't know that.
Thank you, Rick. And this is exactly what you're here to do. Keep me on, keep me on track. I appreciate that. So we looked at 2024 pressures, 2025 pressures. The only way to combat these pressures is through leverage, technology, people, and systems, right? And so if we're kind of on the same page that there's some chaos, let's say, that's happening in our industry with rates and NAR, commission compression, then this is the time, like Rick said, that we need, what are the new rules of the game? And let's play with those new rules and not fight the trends, not like fight the way we wish it to be or the way it used to be, like I did too, admittingly, in 2008. I was just going to outwork everybody, right? I was going to do more and work harder, but I was playing the old rules and I just worked myself to death without making a big improvement, right? So we're talking about these new rules. Let's make sure that we're playing the new game. Our software and what we kind of set up for, we're not going to go through these in detail, just sharing with you that we've got very specific reasons for doing what we're doing. They're based on trends, they're based on data, they're based on our getting, like being in the trenches with you, teaching, listening, holding classes like this, getting feedback. So we've got some very specific things that we're trying to accomplish with Huzi. And like I talked to the group months ago, I would love for us to build a huge company if we were just cool and build unique stuff and fun stuff to play with. That's not how we're going to do it. We're going to do it by helping other people make more money, lead better lives, deliver better customer experience. So we're very intentional about what that means. And the way we did that is we really analyzed the whole process of home buying and selling across the country. What are the different phases? What are the mission critical things that a real estate agent, mortgage professional in the field, in the trenches, 100% commission? What are the things that they need to do to really serve their clients at a high level? Look through all those things. They figure out, all right, what's a really practical use case for AI or software or a team or coaching or services that we can really help the agent provide that better customer service, like reduce the friction, right, Rick? Isn't that what we talk about quite a bit, reducing the friction from where we are to where we want to be? There's just all this friction, lots to do, lots to think about. Well, if we can use systems, leverage, and people to shrink that friction for you, we think that's a project worth working on. You got anything to say about Rick?
Yeah, well, when I started in real estate, some of you probably remember this, 1994, the purchase and sale agreement was 3 pages long. Now in Idaho, it's 9, plus we have, I think, another 3 to 4 additional pages of addendums we have to do. And I'm sure, I know Oregon, it's similar. It's like agents don't want or need more to do. They need to be better at what they do and more efficient. And that's the entire mindset behind building these things.
And frankly, something that doesn't get talked about enough is that the business, especially in our business, when we're small business owners, being independent contractors on some level, even if you're on a team somewhere, even if you're an employee, really the business, the glass ceiling is on your personal development. You can't build a bigger business than you are as a person, right? So when you have systems like artificial intelligence that can help you get speed to information, speed to learning, speed to idea iteration, help you spark creativity, those things, you grow as a person. And when you grow as a person, your capacity grows, right? Your business grows. So really, this is a lot about being curious. It's a lot about being creative. It's less about technology. I'm gonna say that more and more and more. It's less about technology, but it is a lot about understanding the English language, right? Because how can you interact with your customers, or how can you interact with AI really effectively unless you're really mastering communication? So one of the currencies of the future is communication. So the earlier you get into using systems and interacting with AI, the better you'll be, right? You're gonna be dealing with AIs with your dentist and doctors and booking your travel and picking movies and everything, right? So the better we are now, I think the better off we're gonna be. I just want to show this too, like in our agent services department. Just last night, I got this funny. I shared this with the team this morning. But when I say world class, the other thing that is really important to Huzi is that we have world class people, right? The whole project is about people, building a deeper connection between customers and agent, mortgage professional and real estate agents, buyers and sellers, right? It's about people. So we're making sure that the AI and our products and services aren't between people, right? They're making people the hero. They're deepening the connections. It's alongside them or behind them, coaching and assisting them, right? Not trying to replace and automate. So you're going to see a big difference with a lot of companies that are trying to automate, right? And that you can just delegate stuff to. And I'm telling you, home buyers and sellers can just do that then themselves pretty soon, right? So we be very careful about what we do as far as our services and how we position these systems. I think it needs to be very intentional.
And I think that's a really important point, Eric, is you guys are going to see a lot, if you already haven't already, of AI companies and AI widgets and add-ons and tools. And just over the next 6 months to 2 years, it's going to flood the whole world. The problem is most of these AI companies are broadcasting to the masses. They're just trying to, automate everything. We really, as Huzi, our philosophy is we want to connect. That's what Eric just said. That's why he's showing this really funny text thread from one of the
Yeah.
people that's on our team. People, we are all about connecting with the individual and using AI to make those connections even better and more pertinent to each client, not just a drip campaign, which obviously AI can do that, but that's not what Huzi's all about.
Absolutely. Let's just hop right into the wireframes of what our customers are going to be enjoying, in June. A version up. So again, these are medium resolution wireframes, but I'm going to show you a couple of big things here. I'm going to show you and kind of when I say peek behind the curtain, I'm going to tell you like specifically what my hopes were for each parts of this app that you'll have access to. I want your feedback on that, right? If you think we're on target, off target, something else, please flood that comment booth. But the first thing is when somebody comes to Huzi, interacts with Huzi, I want them to be instantly inspired to take action, right? So we're overwhelmed with information coming our way. We're overwhelmed with all the possibilities of what we could do. So what can we do as a company just through our dashboard that simplifies things, that brings it down to what's the most important mission critical things for you, and you're frictionlessly able to take action. That's what I want the dashboard to do. On top of it, I want there to be an education piece, education about what's happening in your business or education about what's happening in your market, like right away, like at a glance. So little things like we're bringing in like market news, stuff with technology, stuff on mortgage rates going on. And when I say like instant access, so you see buttons like this, like summarize. So click a button and Huzi will now read that news article for you and summarize it for you. And now you're instantly interacting with Huzi as like your second brain right now, like right out of the gate, just to learn and get access to speed to information. But let's say, just for fun, that you love that article and you think of, oh, Bob the Builder would really love to know this. Great. Now, right here, you type in, hey, Huzi, create an email to Bob the Builder, letting him know this is a great article and send a link. Go. Right. So you're getting right on your dashboard. You're connecting information to people. You're connecting your expertise to people. Right.
Right.
So AI has got all of the knowledge of pretty much all of humanity. But I keep saying this, it doesn't have any of your expertise. Right.
And
And
this,
it
just to
doesn't.
answer a couple questions, Eric, this is like
Yeah,
literally
please.
a wireframe. So this is what it will look like.
Yep.
And
In
it's going to
June.
be tweaked even a little bit more when we launch in June. This is what, when you log into Huzi, this is
Mhm.
now what you will see. So those of you people that are already in Huzi, this is sort of what it's going to look like. It's going to be even better, but this is our progression towards what it's going to look like when you log in when we launch next month.
Thank you, Rick. Yeah, thank you. So for our current customers, you have a current looking dashboard now. This is more and hiding some things specifically here because I really want, in June you to be real happy that you decided to be, customers and members and partners with us here. So just you want to wet your whistle and kind of show you what's possible. So again, right away, get instant access to things. But what we call Sparks here, and know our customers are familiar, you're going to see it now baked into the rest of the product. Sparks, we're going just from not from prompts and chat, but really Huzi's acting like your co-pilot and your coach and your assistant, serving up ideas or serving up rough drafts for communication to send your client. So reminding you of things that are important. Okay. So these are all sparks. You're going to kind of see it throughout. And then also, obviously, for our non-customers, integration with things in your business, like your customers and your files, and we'll show you more about that, okay? But you're also going to see like this, it says chat about. And so chat about what with who? Well, since we're talking about being about people, we want to have a world-class online community as well. And so we're developing a community. So when you're logged in your dashboard, you're not alone. You're not on an island to figure this out. You're connected to people across the country. You're connected to our staff. You have instant access to best use cases, right? And live people that can help answer questions or connect and interact with, right? So if you found that article on the bet, on that front side, and you're like, oh my gosh, what do you guys think about this? Chat about it now. Instantly go to the community, post it frictionlessly, and interact with world-class professionals from across the country.
I think
So
that, Eric, is one of the most important aspects of this is the community behind the scenes where we talk to each other, learn from each other, explain how somebody else uses it in a different market. And that's so valuable. And it being 24/7, right? The idea is to have all these different places. Like Eric, I mean, most real estate teams have 5, 6, or even 7 different things they have to log into just
yeah.
like to do their real estate. And our goal is you just log into Huzi and it will all be in one place. And that's what we're building and putting it together.
For me too, we could be connected to a lot of places, right? I don't know about anybody else in this group, but you're probably a member of a lot of Facebook groups and a lot of communities and whatnot. Specifically, this community, my goal here is that you're going to be connected to people that make you want to be better or that make you better, right? It's that's what I'm talking about here, are the type of people that are non-excuse making, excited about the future. When something new comes in the market, they don't say, oh my gosh, I don't have time to learn this, because I want to take those people and say, hey, tell your sellers that, right? Why don't you tell your buyers that you don't have any time to learn the best of the best to be on top of the market, right? So just being real with you guys here, like I really want to fight apathy and mediocrity. Like we really want to elevate the people that we're talking to and talking with and working with here. Um, Also, a couple things here. You're going to notice on all the pages, there's this little icon in the lower right. Can you guys see that, Rick and Danielle? You see that down here?
Yep.
So throughout the whole app, on every page, you're going to have a Huzi assistant there that will help you navigate or summarize or evaluate or perform a task on every page, right? I've been a brokerage owner before. I know what it's like to launch technology across a diverse agent population, right? And have everyone trying to learn it and have customer service, and there's friction and there's frustration. So one of the things that we're doing is that we're making sure that the Huzi AI, the Huzi inside of Huzi, can really help you. Like if you have a question of what to do, or you just say, hey, what were all the posts talked about today? Summarize that for me. Boom. So all along the way, we're trying to take, a task that would take you 20 minutes and make it 4 minutes, a 3-hour task and turn it into 30 minutes, right? 5 minutes of research into 1 minute, right? Just helping you do things frictionlessly, much easier all along the way. So you'll see that little orange dot there at the bottom. Any other questions or comments so far about community? Okay.
I
So
love
let's,
the community. And it really is true, Eric, what you said. We've been building this product now for over a year with feedback from the community. Like literally what we all want as a group, plus the people in our members tell us how they would use it and how they want it. It's truly a collaborative project here.
and most importantly, it's a place where your voice matters. When we have that quality person in there that care, like your voice matters. And that's what the Huzi community is going to be about. So now to the Spark Pad. And this is now like kind of the landing page. What the landing page will give you a nod towards what it's going to look like here. Now we've really matured the assistants into a world-class AI real estate team. So it doesn't matter if you're on a team or you're a solo agent or you're a partnership, you're a brokerage owner. Now you'll have an AI assistant to help with marketing and research. You'll have a personal assistant, which we'll talk a little about, operations, finance. And then we're also developing like a buyer's assistant, listing assistant. So right away, you can start getting to work with Huzi. We're going to prompt you all along the way. I made a little distinction actually in the meeting, our team meeting this morning, when I talked about the canvas. And the whole idea for a Spark Pad for me was that it felt personalized, right? It was anybody could step into this thing and make it feel like theirs and make it operate and talk to them and interact with them the way they wanted to. So I'll show you some the ways that we're making that happen. But most importantly, it's like we want to promote you to do the right things at the right time with the right people. So you're going to see we're going to be prompting all along the way of some things that Huzi can help you do that are mission critical things that every agent in every market really need to do. Okay. So let's
Eric, let me
actually,
share. sorry,
Yeah.
can you share high level the assistants? There's a couple people in the chat that have made note that this is their first time seeing the platform and seeing the
Yeah.
content. So if
Okay.
we can just talk a little bit about training data, that would be awesome.
About training data specifically, sure. Okay, so this actually, I'm glad I opened the screen right here. So now we're looking at what will be your chat interface, with your assistants in version 1 here. So this little panel, when you open the panel, this now gives you access to your business essentially at a glance. So this top 8 are assistants. So when I say assistants, these are personality-based, knowledge-based, and functionally based AI models that we've created for you. So personality based, like, isn't it true that a personal coach or and an operations person and a marketing person kind of thinks about the world differently, views the world differently in time frames, as an example, right? Do they have different understanding of psychographics or demographics, things like that, right? So they're personality based AI models. On top of that, you now are in charge of a whole bunch of neat things to interact with. For instance, there's some of you guys know about Book Boost, right? Book Boost was the first solution to AI being average. We've all sat down to ChatGPT. We've gotten an average answer out of ChatGPT, right? So how do you get better than average answers? You either give a lot of more context, get really good at prompt engineering, or you have it interact with data points of wisdom, what I call books, what we call books, right? These are just collections of wisdoms around a certain topic. So if you want your listing assistant to be the expert at the challenger sale and help you create your marketing in that way, you can do that. Okay. So just to clear, that's what assistants help you do. Think, act, and perform functions as if it were that virtual person, that real person, right?
And it gives you, so those of you who've never used it before, if you've used ChatGPT, you ask it something and it's going to, like Eric just said, it's going to search the web and give you the average best answer it can come up with. But with Book Boost and with some of the other things Eric's about to talk about, Huzi's been trained with a lot more context specifically for real estate. So
Right.
when you ask him the exact same question, you will get a much tighter and better answer because Huzi already has a lot of the context built in and it's
Right.
even customizable, which is really exciting.
That's correct. So let's just look at what these options here on the bat, and I want to start like creating some imaginations here in use case. When you have an AI model, by the way, part of our job at Huzi is to stay on top of what's happening in AI. What are the best models? What models perform the best between Claude and Anthropic and Llama and OpenAI? Like, that's our job. So all of our customers and all this functionality, we're going to be using the best models, across the board. And so none of this is model dependent or model specific, right? So we might use a different AI partner at some point in addition to developing our own. So just little things that we're trying to do behind the scenes so our users don't have to worry about those things. So we have the AI model, the best of the best, what's available, trained with assistance that's steeped in the wisdom of books of your choice, that is also interacting with files, documents, your people, has instant access to the information on the internet, is learned and educated on you and your business, where you work, how you work, on all those things. And as a co-pilot, just start to think about how much you could do in such short time. So let me give an example here. Let's say, Rick, that these files here, let's say we got 3 files here. Okay, so let's say that this is a purchase and sale agreement here. Let's say then this is let's say this is the inspection report, and then we have, let's say, the sewer report right here that you got loaded in. If I had an assistant and I'm the team lead and I got a transaction and they just had their inspection report, I might go to my assistant. By the way, I had the same assistant, Renee. I don't know if she's on the call. If anybody knows Renee, she was incredible. I'll give her a shout out for a long time. But I would go to Renee, like, hey, Renee, like, read through this real quick. Tell me what the high points are. If we need to get a bid on a plumber or a framer or whatever, would you please give a list of vendors that can also do these things? Get a summary for me so I can present that to the seller tonight, right? That's something I might do, right? Rick, does that make sense? Decent use case here. I'm making this up as we go along.
Yeah, that's
So
perfect.
now you can do the same thing with Huzi. So you just drop those documents in here. It's already schooled up on your contacts, which I'll show you in a second here. And so you can say, read this inspection report and sewer scope and let me know the highlights. Summarize this for me. Tell me what trades might be needed to perform any repairs inside of this document. Oh, go online and find a plumber that's available next Thursday at 4 o'clock. Okay, you start to see what I'm talking about. So think now as this interaction, it's not a chat GPT. This now becomes your personal assistant that knows you, knows your business, knows your documents, and knows real estate. Does that help a little bit, Danielle and Rick?
Yeah, so
That's
the
perfect.
the key there is you've downloaded files, and that's the good point for everybody in the call. You can download any file you want. I mean, it could be anything about a real estate contract, could be anything about anything. I downloaded my, GoPro camera instructions, started talking to it because now you have AI chat access to any document you've downloaded. You can have it summarize it, give you bullet points, create study guides. Especially in a real estate situation, if you have multiple offers, you want to compare and contrast them, get an offer summary or a deal summary from Huzi. These are all things now that happen instantly and in seconds by just giving the files to Huzi and then talking to it about it, because now it knows everything in the file. That is a really, really cool, powerful feature.
And what we're trying to do is, again, frictionless access to execution. So drag and drop files. So let's say I'm working on this chat thread, and let's say that the preliminary title report came in on this deal. Well, I just drag and drop, put it in the chat thread, and now I'm saying, hey, also check out this preliminary title report. Let me know what easements that you see in here, right? Let me know what red flags you see, just like it would my assistant, right? This is how I want you to start thinking about the power of having an AI team just ready, willing, and able that knows all your documents, knows all your people's wisdom is right there, and acts as a co-pilot. Our customers know about Spark Mode, but Spark Mode is now really maturing. Spark Mode is going to act more as a co-pilot. So we don't want any user to sit down and not know what to say next, not know what to ask, to feel like they got stuck, right? How can you get stuck when you have the best artificial intelligence in history at your fingertips? How should we let a user get stuck? Like, we don't think that should happen. So what we're trying to do is things like Spark Mode, which acts as like a co-pilot now. So what Huzi's doing constantly is trying to understand what your task is. What are you talking about here? What are we trying to accomplish? So at any point in time, when you click a Spark Mode, Huzi will now give you clickable prompts and suggestions of what to do next. Here's what you should do next. Here's what you should think about. Here's what we should write. Here's what we should research, right? And you'll be able to see throughout your whole history here, every time that there was a Spark Mode, some suggestion from Huzi available, you can click on that. And before, you had to pick one. You just had to pick one and go. Now, what we're able to do is you might say, ooh, I use this one here, but this is a great suggestion. I want to start a new chat from this point on with this suggestion. Click this button. So now Huzi will take all the context we've been talking about and now head down another path for you.
And
So
I love this one, Eric. I mean, for those of you that aren't sure what SparkPad is, this is like one of the best things. If you've ever played around with ChatGPT, like I used to do this a lot, after two, maybe three questions deep, I might run out of ideas of what to ask it. I might not be sure because we don't know what we don't know, right? So I'm not sure where to go. I'm not sure what to ask it next. And that's what Spark Mode is all about, is it gives you prompts, and some of the time it's actually so good. It's better than my original question. It's like, oh, this is a really cool rabbit hole. I go a whole nother direction. Without Spark Mode, you might go two or three or five questions deep, and then you're kind of like stuck
yeah.
because our brain is limited, even though AI knows everything. So now it's going to start saying, hey, have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? Every single time you ask it something, Spark Mode gives you three more things to think about. And that is one of my favorite features of it.
And I'll tell you, if you notice, it's not like I'll do this for you. It's tell me about this because again, Who's about elevating the person, educating the person, making the person more proficient and efficient. So we're not trying to automate. We're like, hey, here's some other things that you can get better at. Here's how you can become more referable. Here's how you can make sure that you're not replaceable by AI in the future because you know how to stay on top of it. You don't get overtaken by it, right? This is the constantly. I just want you guys to feel exactly the positioning here. The other thing we should talk about, because I'm showing you like files and contacts and whatnot, safety, data, and security. I want to hit that really clearly here. The other big cornerstone of Huzi is we take your privacy and your data seriously. So this last week, I went through a big multiple hour audit with a security expert looking at all our processes and our code and passwords and how things are protected, how we're handling our data. We're having a legal team that specializes in AI security and data and safety, evaluate everything for us as well. So when we say we're doing everything that we can to keep your data privacy and secure, we really are. Most importantly, our business model is not set up on using your data and selling it, monetizing it, looking at that kind of stuff, right? So we want our customers, when they log in, this is a safe, secure world for you to build your business inside of. And nobody's going to make the money off of you and your hard work and your intellectual property. I just want to make that super clear from me, the founder, from everybody out there. This is just how we think about safety and security. Anything else, Danielle or Rick, about that?
Well, we just tell people all the time that, Chat GPT itself is not necessarily secure. And so I wouldn't be putting my tax information and client confidential information into Chat GPT. I just wouldn't do that because it's not doesn't have the security that we have at Huzi. And I would put that stuff, and I do, in Huzi because it's completely different platform.
And I don't,
Most of GPTs, you're sending your information into the internet for that to be processed then, and then the answer returned to you. And that's not how this works here.
yeah. And even in a lot of the platforms, just so we're really aware, like, or extensions, Chrome extensions and whatnot, a lot of plugins and whatnot, those aren't owned by US based companies. All the information is traveling through this third-party widget or app, even though you're on a US company, but they use this widget over here. So your information is leaking out somewhere. So just, we are talking about personal information, our clients' information, their addresses, their phone numbers. We just have to take that really seriously. We're fiduciaries, right? So when we're doing that stuff online and you're looking, just make sure you're reading the privacy policies if you're not Huzi. Just that's my soapbox for that. Okay.
Use Huzi.
Big deal. It is a big deal. Okay, let's skip over projects for a second. Let's go into files. Nobody's seen this yet, actually, on the call. Our current customers know about files in its current iteration, but nobody's seen this yet, which is pretty cool. So I want people that haven't used a product like Huzi to think about what would happen is if you, let's say you're a team leader and you have your SOPs or your policy manuals or your corporate documents here. And if your employees had instant access to those and could ask questions instead of asking your front desk person or bothering you off hours, right? What would happen if you had all of your knowledge of your whole business loaded in here and you can at any time get instant access to be able to chat at it so Huzi could read your document for you in seconds, not minutes or hours, can help you find information in the documents, evaluate, analyze, summarize, help you understand it, help you learn it. Really start to think about the power here of storing documents, interacting with this world we're in, we're a paper heavy world, especially in real estate. What would happen? What could the use cases if you had access to be able to create class outlines and social media content and anything that you want out of all of your documentation? So what we want to do have happen here is like this frictionless execution, talk to multiple files instantly, discuss files, compare the files, compare offers, review it. So I'm just throwing stuff out here that files is one of the best cases for AI. 2 weeks ago in some of our testing, and I shared this in one of our classes, but one of our developers was able to ingest, a 1,400 page history book on the War of 1812 and dense material asking really tough questions. And Huzi was able to literally go through it in 10 seconds and then cite, the specific 5 pages that was supporting the argument that Huzi was making for the question. And all 5 sources were accurate, right? We could go through, look at the page number and find it. So when you start to think about, what's possible with AI and all your documentation, the creativity that you could have, we're also going to promote that. So Danielle, down here where it says type your message, we're going to have prompts. So it's like a prompt like, help me study or learn this. Help me make a handout that's interesting for my open house that's coming out. Help me make a class outline. Give me a bullet point summary. Make this easier for me to understand, right? All those sorts of things, push button functionality. You don't even need to think what's possible. We're going to have it right here for you. Push a button, let the magic happen.
And I was just going
Okay.
to say, so 2 things, Eric, on that. One of my favorite things to do with Huzi is I call it accelerated learning. I go onto YouTube a lot and I'll find really cool videos. Sometimes they're not very long and I'll watch the whole thing. Sometimes they're like 45 minutes or an hour or 2 hours long. And I don't want to watch the whole video, but I'm interested in the subject matter that whatever experts are talking about. So I'll download it into Huzi and literally have Huzi tell me about what's going on. Create a study guide, create a quiz based on this stuff. Give me my top 20 talking points. However I want to ask it, it knows everything in that video. So I can go through, like when the NAR lawsuit came out, this is about a month ago now on a Friday. Everybody probably remembers that if you're in real estate. It was a Friday afternoon. Everybody freaked out. I went and downloaded from YouTube 7 of the bigger, like Inman News and some of the bigger sites that had like 45-minute to 1 hour talking points about the lawsuit. I downloaded 7 different files into Huzi and just started talking to it, asking it questions. What should I be aware of as a real estate coach? What are some talking points for my agents when they're talking to their buyers and sellers now? It's like create study guides and quizzes for me so I know I understand this stuff really well. It's amazing how much faster you can learn stuff. If I would have watched all 7 of those videos, I would have had like 5 hours invested.
Yeah.
And I spent about a half hour and I felt like I knew all this stuff already forward and backwards.
Or if you're a
It's
team leader, you're working with a team and a sales team, you can download call transcripts and upload them and say, point out areas of opportunity for my sales team on this call. Where could they have engaged with a client better? Where did they miss an opportunity?
Yeah.
I use that use case all the time, Danielle, actually. So with my transcripts, when I'm doing a sales call or a class like this, I'll absolutely have Huzi show me where I missed an opportunity to answer a question better. Or I'll have Huzi look at the whole transcript and provide me the best suggestions for follow-up. How do I move this conversation from where we are now to where we're trying to get? I'll give an objection. I'm like, Huzi, this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get another meeting. We're trying to get this contract signed, whatever it is. And I'll have Huzi read my transcripts and then give me the best forms of communication and suggestions for how do I actually move the conversation forward. It's insane, like how you can get better at conversion and evaluating yourself with a product like this.
Role playing. Yeah, I love that stuff.
Yeah, role playing and that sort of thing. Sure. And just point out, like, real quick, at the top here, open and spark pad. So this whole thing, just start thinking about like it's your personalized brain. We're not forcing you to use a feature in one way. You can look at files in the spark pad. You can look at the files here, right? So we're trying to, however your brain works, we want it to work on your behalf that way. Okay, now if we understand what's possible with files, let's see, like, what would happen now if you had that same sort of AI interface with your contacts. All right, so let's pause here for a second. Databases, right? Our database we typically think about as our list of people that we drip emails to, right? We put in categories of prospective buyers or ABC clients or whatever format you're using in your CRM. But to me, the big disconnect between that and prospecting is that that's not how people buy, right? And that's not how relationships are really formed personally, right? If I had the way to personalize all my prospecting and lead generation and lead nurturing, I'd prefer that over classification, tagging, and drip emailing. Just, does that make sense so far? Okay. So now think if you had an AI system to where you could have your contacts in here, but your contacts were richer than just contact information. It was eventually your communication threads, email, voicemail, DMs. It was the properties, information about the properties they owned. It was your transaction documents that you'd ever have. It was all your current documents that you have. Maybe you have chats that you've talked with in Huzi SparkPad about this particular client to find out how to prospect to them, saving all of your chat history with Huzi associated with your clients, right? Transactions. Think about what you could do now with AI in your contacts in this way. Let me give you an example. Let's say that you were on your dashboard and there was a great article that came up about the city of Portland. And you're like, oh, this would be great for people that live in Multnomah County, right? Just go to Huzi and say, hey, I found a great article for that affected people living in Multnomah County. What of our contacts do you think would like to read this article, Huzi? Huzi will go through your contacts, say, hey, here's the 14 people I think that would love this article. Great, let's send this to them. Okay, you see what I'm talking about? The difference between a CRM and an AI-based assistant with all of your people that are ever going to support you in your business.
And we get
It's
that question a lot, Eric. I even had it
yeah.
in a chat a minute ago. Will this, take the place of a CRM? And it's like what you're talking about is we're reimagining what a CRM is and what should it actually do. Don't just get stuck on, hey, can it do drip campaigns to my 1,200 people in my database? That's yes, but that's broadcasting to the masses. We want to make sure we're getting individualized, specific conversations with people around stuff they actually care about. That's the difference.
That's big. And include things like, psychographic or demographic information, that about Amy Stewart as an example here. And you're like, oh, well, I don't know the difference between psychographic and, demographic information. Well, no problem here. Like I just went to Huzi right before the call and I thought that'd be funny to put into Huzi. Just think now that you don't have to learn how to use the technology to have a great resource here. So you can say, hey, teach me the difference between psychographic and demographic and how do I use that in my CRM? So when stuff comes up like now, like just know frictionless access to know the answers, like constantly with a program like Huzi. Okay.
I love the example you did last week, Eric, when you and I were on a call. You were like, because people don't know sometimes what to ask it. So you just told Huzi, hey, I am out of ideas. I don't know what to do when it comes to creating content for social media. What's going on and it's interesting that would be pertinent to my world. and literally just ask Huzi and it starts giving you tons of great information and ideas. That's so helpful.
I think so too. In fact, I know so. We're finding out to be very important.
Yeah.
So I think this is enough here. Am I missing anything in the chat, you guys? Any questions or any comments about the wireframe version of the conversation today?
The only
Danielle?
thing I would
Nope,
say is
we've been staying on top of it.
just like in the book boost, Eric, will they have the ability to create their own?
100%. Right from at launch, there will be. You'll be able to add a book right here, talk about the book. Now let's talk about that just for a second. If I'm going to be perfectly frank and show my cards, AI's got a downside, right? One of the downsides is that all these models have been trained on everything that's on the internet, which unfortunately included some author's information and artist information. Let's be clear, I don't like
That
that.
nobody paid for, in other words.
Yeah, that nobody paid for. And I think that's something that needs to be handled. You know, how are these models trained where they use human beings' livelihoods to train the models, right? And then distribute that information free, essentially. So what I just want to be really clear that Huzi is a big proponent of supporting people that write books and make great videos and whatnot. So please, if you can, support these authors, you know, and whatnot. But you can upload your own books. In fact,
Yeah, just
somebody
buy the
asked,
PDF. Yeah, buy the online
yeah,
version.
buy the version, and we're also gonna have a version for EPUBs. You know, some people are buying like Kindles and whatnot. We had that question today, or I'm sorry, this week. We will have that ability too, so you can load in your Kindle versions as well. So, is that the question about books that handle that, you guys?
Yeah, I love
I
that.
think that's one of my favorite use cases. I belong to a book club. We read a lot of self-help books, and then it's how do you get that and work that into your current business, right? 12-week year is one of them. But I go into Huzi and I say, hey, help me put together my plan, my business plan for the next 12 weeks. And I want to leverage this book, put it together in this way. So it'll divide the tactics up based on that book, which is what I want to do. And it knows.
Mhm.
Saves
It's
me a lot of time.
it does save a lot of time. So I'm glad. And the whole idea is that Who's not supposed to help you work less. It's supposed to help our users focus on the things that are the higher value, right? That's really the challenge of business is how do we increasingly improve our problems, improve the quality of time, improve the things that we're working on. So if you can have AI that do some of the heavy lifting and these other things, and then you can focus, that's really what this is about. I talk about in classes all the time. We don't work less than we did 20 years ago, but we have tons more, technology and leverage supposedly, right? But we don't work less. So just to be very, very clear, we're honest about what this does. This elevates you as a profession. This takes some of the heavy lifting off all the cognitive labor that AI can do now. So that's really where the position is here.
What I get excited about, Eric, on that is it does two things really well. It does make you more efficient. If you can do a property search and you can do a staging report in 15 minutes instead of 3 hours, that's efficiency. So I love that about AI, and especially with the things we built into Huzi, it makes you more efficient, but it also makes you more effective. It makes you better at the stuff that really matters. And that's what's so cool. It's not just an efficiency product. It makes us creatively and the final product to our clients actually better.
That's absolutely right. So is there any use cases? I've got a list of some use cases. And I want to actually do some use cases, kind of show how some things will work here. But do you guys have any that you want to make sure that I don't forget about? Let's just start with something like tech support. Like tech support, okay? So one of the questions I get in class, like, oh, how do I learn how to use this? Well, this now actually helps you learn how to use all of your all of your technology. Like example, the other day, can you guys see my mic here?
Yeah.
So I couldn't get this thing working. I can't get my mic working. It's a Shure I think it's like a MV7B or something like that. Help. All right. So I want to point out that this is like one of those incredibly easy examples where somebody says, I want to know how to get started. I'm like, start personally. Just start with helping it figure out how to eat what to eat tonight and what help with a workout or help learn a new language or help with parenting or whatever. Right. So let's say like, ooh, okay. So that gave me a pretty good example here. Let's say go online and find support for me. And I'm gonna butcher all this typing so you can get over the idea that we have to be perfect to interact with AI. You don't have to be perfect. You don't even have to know what to do. You just have to know what to ask. It's like, help me, I want to accomplish this thing. Then we'll move forward. So here we go. So you can see what's happening here when who's going online and getting me my tech support. So let me show this little video here. I showed this in a class the other day, and it's Mackenzie. Where is Mackenzie here? Oh, come on, Mackenzie. He even had his cutoff sleeves here. I wanted to show.
I love that.
I think he was in his cutoff sleeve shows. Oh, did I shut that down? All right, I'll find it here in a second. But what it was basically showing was, gosh, it's got to be right here. Sorry, guys. Looks like I deleted it. Well, that's the first like imperfection of the class today, so that's not too bad. We're not doing too bad. All right, that's okay.
Well, I love your use case of a mic. I mean, one of the very first things I did, Eric, with files was just ask it how to use my GoPro camera because I couldn't figure out how to change the frame rate to. I wanted to video my son playing golf in slow motion, and I couldn't
Yeah.
remember how to do it. And I can't read the GoPro manuals are this big. And I was like, okay, I just went online, went to the GoPro Hero 8 Black Edition, downloaded the Huzi files, and asked it the question, how do I change a frame rate to video in slow motion? It was like step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's what you do. It was
Yeah.
so cool, like right
It's
then.
it's great. What I was gonna show like with this, so it gave me, brought back 5 links. Huzi might have actually searched through 90 websites right there, is what I was gonna show. So I have a video like when you do a search like this, that what the AI is doing is actually, at 100x or 200x or 400x what we could do. Right. And so quickly in that amount of time, it might have looked through 70, it might have looked for 400, I don't know, but a whole bunch to get me down to the 5. So it acts as your curator, right? Really think of her, he's your curator of information, and now you get to put your wisdom on top to go, but it takes away the heavy lifting. So let's do that. Okay, let's do some other use cases here. Let's step right into, let's go. Okay. So here's a use case I actually did yesterday in with agent services. I want to get better. I want us to offer some better services. And I found a company that was actually really thought did a great job. You in your example, you might know a listing agent, in Savannah, Georgia, or wherever else that does a great job. Well, maybe you want to know like who else does a great job or who else is similar, right? Or who else is doing this thing. Well, Huzi will actually go out, look through the website, look through their LinkedIn, look through the social media, and come back and help you understand what they're doing or how you could replicate to get that similar success. So when I was showing things like, hey, give me some other suggestions, like Huzi will just go out and find all the information, serve it back up to you, help you understand it, and help you execute, right? So this curiosity thing I keep talking about, kind of forget for a minute what's possible and start getting really clear about what's necessary. Okay. So this what's possible versus what's necessary, I think is going to be a big kind of divider between people because AI can also be a whole big time suck. You could go figure out all these new cool things you could do, but it's really is like what's important for you and your business, your clients today to help you pay your bills this month. So if once you get really clear on that, then you can sit down and have a much better go at it. So that was an example here. Let's go.
I love the one you did for buyers too. That's one I've shown people several times is preparing like a realtor preparing for a buyer that's coming into town from out of town. And there's so many things that Huzi can do to help you get ready and be knowledgeable for that buyer.
To Astoria to look for homes. I'm going to try something new. Help me prepare by getting some information they might feel helpful. Just something like this. I might say I'm gonna spelling everything, you guys, just for fun. All right. And I didn't say Astoria, Oregon. I didn't say anywhere. So let's see what happens here. My point is that if you want to serve your client higher, then what does your client need? And let's meet them there instead of waiting them for the ask it or waiting for them to go online and find it or waiting them for go to Zillow and get it for them, right? We really want to like think ahead. If I had access to all the information in the world, how could I curate that information for my client to make them have a better experience, to make their decisions easier, more informed, right? More transparent. So as an example right here, oh look, it didn't know.
New
So it went
York and
Astoria, New
Oregon.
York, now Astoria, Oregon. I think that's pretty great.
Uh-huh.
So now I can say, oh, I also um, want to know if we can drive on the beach. Whatever you want. Okay. Point is, when you're preparing for a client, personalize their wishes and needs, grab them the information, and before they come, before you meet them, why wouldn't you just arm them? Here's the schools, here's the population, that would take hours to do before. That's
Hmm.
why we don't do it.
Yep.
I always wanted to do stuff like this for all of my clients every single time. Doesn't matter if I had a 50 or 5 or 1. We
Yep.
couldn't always do it because we didn't have the time.
Nearby
So
hiking trails, nearby shopping options, nearby fly fishing streams where you can go, like whatever they're interested in. Have Huzi help you curate a tour. Points
Oh,
of
so
interest.
this is great. So it's like, hey, I didn't actually know, but let me give you the link so you can go verify. So I'm trying to do this live for you guys to just show that this is a learning process, right? You're discovering what's possible here. When you sit down, you're discovering all the use cases that you'll find. This isn't a limited software technology way to do these certain things. it's supposed to grow and meet you where your expectations are here, right, for your delivery of service. So there's some research. Let's actually go to this product right here. For our current customers, just as an announcement too, this version of Huzi will be sunsetting officially after we get people transitioned to the new platform. So everybody's experienced this platform. Thank you for your feedback. Thank you for using it here. For the non-real estate agents, we're going to talk about maybe having access to something like this for you. But this platform will be going away. We're going to be moving everybody over to the version that's going to look more like this, okay, in the coming months. Any questions about that, please reach out. If you are a current client and you do have, files in here or chat threads in here that you would like to save that history, if we can save the history for you and move it over, let us know and we'll do what we can. But I don't want to promise that we can give all information exactly as you typed it from one to the other, but we'll absolutely help you for those that have been working on the other platform for a while. Just be clear about that. Anything else, Daniela, Rick, do you want to make sure I talk about the transition here?
No, and we've got communications going out too via email and social media. So if you're not following us there, we'll make sure that we give plenty of notice when the date approaches.
That sounds fantastic. Okay. All right. So let's go to something like this. We now have access to, let's see, is this the version? Oh, okay. See, so coming soon. So I just want to point out here that you'll be able to add your own books here for the new release. As a matter of fact, our current customers, you have access to this full platform I'm showing you now, and all of the upgrades as they get released in the coming weeks, as we grow from what you're seeing here to what you're seeing here. Also, all of our current customers, your pricing is locked in at founders pricing forever. We're going to just kill you with value over the years. I promise. Every tool we're going to be adding, because our early adopters and supporters, we love you. Like, we really appreciate you. So if you want into something like this, you're not a customer yet, you get in now, we're going to reward you forever. The product now, as we move from this to this, I'm going to be embarrassed about what this looks like, in 6 months from now, because it's going to be a whole nother level very, very fast. And when I say that, I want you to breathe easy, which means it'll be easier to use, less clicks, more intuitive, more functionality, right? It doesn't get more complicated. Most of the time, when you start adding features and functions, it gets more complicated because there's more stuff Frankenstein on top of it. Being better here will be a reduction of clicks, easier access to things, right? More intuitive interface. So as we improve, so will the ease of use. So just be super clear about that. But so will the price, right? So will the price.
And I just want to make that one quick statement there, Eric. When you log in, the first thing you're going to see is your dashboard and go into SparkPad. I mean, the SparkPad is where you write your prompts. That's where you ask AI stuff. And it might seem, if you've never seen this before, and we're showing you a lot of different things and a lot of different features of Huzi, it's really not that difficult. Once you get the dashboard up, you click the SparkPad and you can start talking to it like seconds into it. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to learn anything. It is not complicated. We're showing you a lot of new stuff that's coming. So in bits and pieces, it might look complicated, but it's not. You'll be pleasantly surprised how the UI works really well, the user interface.
I'm going to show you here too, when I made a comment earlier that the Huzi would kind of follow you around through the app and help you perform things in the app. When I say, like, well, let's take a peek into the future, we're looking as far as having the interface all the way down to mostly voice, right? Chatting interface, okay? Talking to it and having like literally Jarvis. We're really trying to work toward the Jarvis world where you have this thing that's just ready to help you, right? That knows about you and it's with you all the time and whatnot. So I would give you an example of what we have to build into that. So for now, like, type like, hey, Brad, add Brad Less to my database. His number is this. And if you guys have seen this, I'm just going to point that this works. It's Brad at Lee. Or you can just go add it yourself, but you might do this. You might say, hey, Brad loves dogs and wants to buy a house. All right, great. So what I want to show you guys here is that what we're doing here is that throughout the app, you're going to be able to just tell Huzi what you need done. And then Huzi will say, okay, let me help you out with that. So I added Brad Lee. I'm going to prepare all this information for you. And we're going to add Brad Lee to the database on your behalf. Okay. So even if you don't say, ooh, where do I add my database? Or how do I find this in the settings? You're just going to be able to ask Huzi anywhere you are. And Huzi will be able to help you perform the task anywhere you are. And that's kind of a big customer service, big customer support thing. Okay. Let's actually go, let's show you what really Spark modes are all about. So let me pick one here. Psychographic. Let me go back to this conversation about psychographics. Here we go. Can't, my internet froze because I have too much. There we go. Okay, here we go. Let's do assisting a transaction. Okay, here's an example from a buyer. And I was doing a buyer preparation here. Let me show you what Spark mode does. So if I click Spark mode down here at the bottom, what Huzi is doing is reading your entire conversation and then giving you suggestions like a co-pilot. So let's say, hey, is there anything happening? What's the current traffic like? Are there local events happening you might find interesting along family? Great, that sounds like a good idea. So Huzi's kind of, again, serving up those suggestions. You don't have to copy and paste anymore. You don't have to do any, you just literally click it and Huzi will now take the conversation and move you forward. So just to show what Spark mode is in the real life, that's how Spark mode works in reality here. Okay, there we go.
Spark mode is prompting you to think about things that maybe you hadn't thought of yet. And sometimes it's like, it's okay. It's not exactly what I was looking for. And other times it's like, wow, that's really good. And that's, again, shows me, I'm glad some of them aren't great and some of them are great, because that's where your wisdom comes in to decide which one is great, which one would actually be pertinent to my client. That's what AI can't replace, is your wisdom, but it can send you in the right directions.
That's right. So we have this built out, and I know I've shown a lot of the people in our classes this particular graphic right here, which is the figure 8. So I skipped over the wireframes. I skipped over the projects tab at the top, and I'll explain that here in a second. What we view projects are the things that you need to do in the real estate transaction or in the real estate life cycle. So what we did was look at the entire life cycle and came up with these different phases and then figure out what projects need to have happened. So pre-listing, listing, offer negotiation, close the transaction, back to home ownership. So what we term projects are the things that have to happen here. So what we're building out now in our current clients, you guys know about our pre-listing tool, that would be a project. So if you kind of view back to what these projects are, if you can in the future zoom out to where you'll have a co-pilot for your transactions, a co-pilot for your pre-listing, a co-pilot for your buyers, and a co-pilot for your listings. Okay. And every current listing that you have, your current transactions, your current buyers will all be listed right here underneath your current projects. And all be loaded with the documents that you have, the contact information, who's at play, what houses they're looking at, the pictures associated with it will all be listed in your records right here. So to be clear, I skipped over that on purpose. Projects are going to be co-pilots that Huzi's helping you execute on these mission critical tasks as you go around this life cycle. Okay.
I think it's
this,
important to me to say this too,
yeah.
Eric. I mean, agents know that each one of we're building individual tools for the
Mhm.
pre-listing phase, the listing phase, the offer negotiation phase. So, the listing phase is going to be marketing tools, right? You start to think all these things we're building under each one of these. And then when you have a buyer now looking for properties, getting approved, searching for homes, this is all creating all these individual tools that are kind of standalone things in people's minds are going to be integrated into one ecosystem that you're going to be able to go in and do everything in real estate in one place. And that's what's so cool about it. You're not going to have to log into 6 different things now. You don't need Trello and your CRM and Sisu and your company back office .loop. Like, most people have 5, 6, or 7 things they're actually working with, and this is going to replace so many of them. And I think it's important people understand it's like an entire ecosystem for them to do all of it in one place. That's really, really powerful.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. So when you develop a product or a service, I think most people miss the point. They don't quite understand exactly what comes before and after that sometimes. So it sounds like a great idea, but then it doesn't ever get implemented into your business because it requires you to go and think like it, and it requires you to go manage and maintain it. And so it sounds like a great idea. We buy it and then it fizzles out. So what we're trying to do with Huzi is that things that we create for you here, we understand what's coming before and after. So it's in the flow of what you need to do as an agent on 100% commission on the street in today's competitive environment, right? Like it's really important to keep that in mind. So if the tools feel different than anything else is being built or that have access to, there's a reason for that. We're able to solve problems in a little different way now through software like this. So
And Eric, can you
let's
talk to real quick? Can you talk to go back to that slide on the longest
for
one?
sure.
Agents know this. The longest piece of this pie chart, this infinity symbol, is the center, the home ownership piece, right? That's when a seller sells or a buyer buys, they typically are good for 7 to 10 years. If you look at statistics, they don't buy again for 7 to 10 years. They stay in their house. And that's where realtors really struggle in, how do I stay relevant? How do I stay top of mind during that 7 to 10 year period? How do I add value to my client? Because I coach agents all across the country, Eric, and you know this. One of the areas agents really struggle with is post-close follow-up. How do you stay in touch and add value to your sphere consistently? So that is certainly one of the things that we're building out, guys, because Huzi can help you be relevant and stay in touch with people so much better than what most people are doing now.
I just had a chance to go through the chat. So I'm saying there's lots of good ideas and questions. I'll go through it. But the last one here, the question Dave just put up is, will we be able to create our own relationships between individuals, projects, addresses, vendors, et cetera? You got it. That's exactly how this is working, and why I said it's not a CRM. The whole thing becomes your CRM. So the way we're building it in the database is that you have properties, you have files, you have chats, you have reports, you have documents, right? These all can have relationships with each other in unique ways now. And then when you do that, now you can have the AI help you evaluate, analyze, research, extract things in a really unique way. All the other products that you're seeing, what they're doing, they're taking their existing product and putting AI on top of it, right? So this is a little different, where we've started with AI, and then how do we make this be this, like this canvas that we're talking about? So we've had this advantage. So you're getting it right now. That's exactly right. You're gonna be able to create those relationships. So you'll be assigning and tagging and things like that. So you can store things and sort things and find things easier than ever before. As a matter of fact, we're already starting work like on a global search. So you'll be able to have like a global search, so where you can find anything, any chat thread, any record, documents, that kind of stuff in the whole platform, which I think will be really helpful. Great question. Thank you for that. Anything else about that part? I think that's pretty clear why that's different. So going back to, if anybody has not seen, what we're going to grow from is this pre-listing tool, as you guys are used to it. It's a little bit clunky. We got create report, manage report. It's a little clunky to get to it. Redoing the UI and putting it into the project section of the new version that we're showing you here in Wireframe. So for those of you who don't know what this is, I just want to walk a couple people through this real quick. The first project that an agent has on the listing side is helping somebody stage their home, price their home, and prepare a marketing plan. And that's really the first mission critical tasks of an agent pre-listing, right? You got to earn the business, telling them how to get it ready, price it, and market it. Okay. So what we're able to do here is read photos, have the agents or have the homeowner take photos of the property. And then you guys are in charge of how the report sounds. I want to be super clear here. You guys are in charge of, if you want vendors, your plumber, your carpenter, your painter, or whatever, to be included in your reports and part of your business, you have the option to. If you want the reports to be written in a polite way, professional way, a direct way, to sound like you, to not sound like you, to sound like whoever, Rick Gray, because he's so eloquent and he's such a good orator, and I wish I could speak like him, then you can do that, right? So we really want this to be a flexible representation of you and your business. So you control these things. Back on this UI here, I do want to show you guys like full settings. So the new UI for your report, your theming, we're going to have a live version of what your reports look like. You can pick the colors, install your logos, make sure that you got the proper disclosures and disclaimers here. Since we're already collecting, your YouTube information and social media information, then why don't we help you with a link in bio? So there'll be a version of like a link in bio here. Let me see if I can find it on this. There you go. So there will be like a link in bio, which is actually like a nicer link tree. So you can use this in your social media, so people can find you, and your marketing all looks the same and feels the same across all of your channels, right? Like, we're here to help you elevate in all ways. So we're trying to find little ways like this, and we hope you find these very helpful too.
Some people might not know, Eric, but I love Linktree stuff, and it's built in for people. So in other words, you would give your clients one URL, preferably like a QR code, and they click that, and now it has all of your stuff, every social media platform you're on, your YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, whatever you use, and anything else you want to add. If you want to add an ebook on steps to prepare to get your house sold, or 5 things you should know before hiring an agent, or whatever, you can have all that, but you're only giving out one link. And then they have all this information on you. It's much more powerful than a static website, or trying to get them to go to all your different social media pages at different times.
That's correct. And Rick too will be building lead capture pages for these different tools, right? So like the pre-listing tool, they would lead capture page. So if the agent wants to use this as a lead capture opportunity as well through the social media, that will be there for them too. right? So
Absolutely.
yeah, we can't build stuff unless people are selling homes, right? Like we really want you guys to sell a lot of houses. And if I'm being perfectly honest, we really want the great agents to win all the business, right? We really want the great listing agents to win these listings. We want the great buyers agents to show these buyers around. Like that's who we want, right? And so we're trying to make sure we're doing the things we can to help you sell more houses, just to be frank.
And I
Okay.
just comment on it, Eric. I really see Huzi and AI as a gap creator. I really do think in the next few years, you're going to see agents building their own mini teams, either virtual team like with Huzi or a real team using Huzi, and they're going to get more of the market share. You're not going to have as many agents selling that 15 to 20 homes a year. You're going to have the onesie twosies that just don't do much, but they're family and maybe they're a flipper. And then you're going to have people using technology like this and really improving their ability to gain market share. So that's what's going to happen in the next few years. So I really think you guys are in the right place right now, getting to learn this and learn how to use it so it can make you far more effective.
I see Dave put something so like it would be nice to be able to correct the AI which pics are which. One recent example thought the rear garage was the front of the house and a bedroom was the living room, and then reinterpret the report. So Dave, it's a great suggestion. And what Dave's pointing out is that on this report, for those of you who don't know, that the our customers are able to upload photos and Huzi does read them. And if you'll see, it says bedroom one, kitchen one, bathroom, creative studio space. Because I told this one, that's why I'm bringing up this report for you, Dave. If Huzi misreads because the garage is in the front and it assumed that all garages are in the front for some reason, right? You can tell it like I did in this example. I simply clicked edit and I said, hey, reimagine this as a creative space or relabel this as the front of the house, or this isn't, the living room, this is the bonus room. So what you're able to do, Dave, is you're just able to edit the report and then click on the one that was wrong. Let's say it was this kitchen and say, hey, this isn't a kitchen. This is the great room and stage it accordingly. Okay. So Dave, I want you to feel like you're totally in control. I think of this part of the project as a co-pilot. And these interfaces are going to be getting better and better. But even in our beta phase that you guys are using now, you're able to really get drilled down into each photo, each room, and give very specific instructions. So if you said, hey, this isn't well, I don't want to lie because this actually is the kitchen. But let's give an example. Let's say give give some specific I'm spelling ideas to brighten this up. Okay, great. Who's ego?
So
So
I want to say two things on
please.
that, Eric. One, you're having it regenerate. So I want Dave to
Yeah.
understand that. You can actually have Huzi regenerate each block based on your instructions, or you could just manually type it yourself, right? Those are the two ways you can do it. You can literally type it yourself or just tell it how you want it regenerated, like Eric just did.
Yeah. Yeah. It's important that also there's something else going on here too behind the scenes, that when you stage your houses and when you guys give, opinions on a house, you do want the bathroom and the living room, the bedroom, the front of the house. You want it to feel like one house. You don't want it to feel like this jointed house. So who's even reading photos as all the photos are together. It creates one universal story that tries to give suggestions that make the whole house feel and stage the same, just like you would or a stager would. Okay. There's some other staging tools I see. They just look at that one room, one house to give you advice, and another one it's completely different advice. So this is more of an integrated approach and a more integrated tool.
And
So,
we've seen reports too, where you definitely want to come in with your agent wisdom, right? It may suggest painting the kitchen cabinets, but I know in the Murray Shoals area in the 1990s homes, that may not be where their money is best spent. I know that
yeah.
because I'm an expert in the industry. And so I go through and I regenerate that block and say, this is great, Huzi, but take out this suggestion. Or love the curb appeal options, but they only have $150 to spend on the exterior. So then it changes what it's suggesting and says, let's just focus on, power washing and some low cost annuals, things like that.
Yeah, I love that.
Heavily open houses. So my point is as well, Dave, especially since it sounds like you're using this here, is that you have the ability to also, even in this phase, even as it is now, not even talking about what we're going to be having available for you for June, to have it create marketing suggestion plans for you. So if you have listing appointments now, you can go down, generate a block, and have Huzi create a marketing plan. So if you want to present that to your seller at the same time, you have that right here in this report as well. So, and we'll see here what that is. If you guys please read the chat if I'm missing anything else. There's a couple of things I want to point out here as well. This now is as ugly as it will ever be, and as inflexible as it will ever be as well. But you can start to see the power of Huzi being able to look at a property, give you ideas of how to stage it, give you ideas on how to market it, and produce reports that look world class, in minutes instead of hours. That's what we're trying to do here in this phase. Okay. Shameless plug for real estate. Oh, I got that. Ben will check that out. Dave, great example. Okay, so let's go. Let's move on. Anybody have any questions about this? Rick, to explain this well enough here?
So I know people are asking, like, at what point will it be able to re-render? Will it be able to re-render? Like if you said, hey, it's got a pink wall in the kitchen, and Huzi says, well, that pink wall might not be popular with all buyers. You might want to paint it a different color. Here's 5 suggestions, which it does now. But then
Yeah,
coming at some point, it might actually re-render the photo, correct?
true. Okay, yeah, I did. I guess I have spoken out a little bit. That is on the roadmap, and as a listing agent, I really wanted to empower my sellers to get the most amount of money, and I was trying to make sure that the listings that I took were priced right and staged right. Right? It's hard to take a listing that's overpriced and not ready for the market. It's an uphill battle to get those homes sold. So the more educated and the more in charge and the more transparent the seller feels, and the less overwhelmed they are, and they start thinking about, oh, I have to do all of these things, and how much is this going to cost, and who am I going to get to help me do this, and where's this going to go? And you can swoop in, and you've got vendors, already, like I said, by the way, I don't know if they're in this report, but yeah, here we go. So, there it's suggested paint, and some carpet in this report. So it pulled the vendors that I had loaded in this account over into this report. So it gives the seller access to your vendors, not something online, not Angie's List, but your suggestions. So be real clear, right? You're the hero here. So we want to really make sure that was done right. The next phase, though, is adding in pricing. So now we know the condition of the home because we got photos. We know what actually is going to be done. The pricing suggestions should get better too, right? By theory. And that's what we're working on next is how do we also help you deliver a great price suggestion and in a very transparent way. And one of those is giving them choices. Here's what your house looks like now, Mr. Seller. Here's all the things that you could do to it. Here's, by the way, what it would sound like if we marketed it, right? Here's how we describe the property, and here's how we market it. Here's probably the price. On this side, here's what this room could look like if you move the couch, took out the desk, painted that wall. It would look like this. Here's what it would market like, and here's maybe what the price could be. Which one would you like to do, Mr. Seller, right? You could even slide or something. That's what we're moving to. Whoever asked the question is that world right there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay.
The sellers have that question all the time, right, Eric? They're like, I don't know if I should do this or that, or should I replace my Formica counters with granite? But that's expensive, and I'm going to get that out of the sales price. It's like sellers are always juggling those things. That's a big part of a seller's stress. So if we can give them an actual report to go through and address those exact questions, that'll make them
Yeah.
feel a lot better, and it makes you stand apart as the agent.
And I see Karen asked a great question. How long does it take to turn around a report, like when you submit? Currently, we're running models at a 10 photo limit. And so those are customers that are in there now. It knows about 10 minutes. And it could, minute and a half or so if you got 10 photos, again, adjust on the resolution, a minute and a half. So, you're taking a 2 hour long project into a minute and a half and you have a rough draft, it's pretty great, but it does take a little bit of time. On the front side, though, we do believe this is going to be a fantastic lead magnet for you. Danielle brought up a great point a couple months ago that when you have a buyer, you start setting them up on a saved search. Like we get the juices rolling, we start seeing what's on the market. When you have a seller, there's no such thing. So what we want to be able to do is like, okay, let's demystify this for your sellers. Let's find out exactly what needs to get done and when and who can help you do it, right? And make a checklist. And so you can start planning on the next 6 months instead of it always being overwhelming every weekend, knowing this is something you have to do. So one of the ways that we're going to do that is by giving, our agents lead funnels, capture pages. So if you want to advertise in your social media or to your sphere, hey, thinking about selling your house, upload a couple of photos and I'll get you back a report within 24 hours, everything you need to do to your house, right? We think that's a great way for you to start the conversation about listings. So this is the beta version of it. We're redoing it for June, but you'll have these lead capture pages that you can then advertise, post about, and then capture the leads. And those will come right to you, go right into your version of a CRM captured here. So then you could look at it and help them. Now, what we also decided not to do is for them to get the report directly. We decided that the report should go to you and it will show up here as Rick has submitted a request for a report. It'll show up here. You view the report, you put your touches on it, you do the editing, and then you send it, right? So again, we're not trying to replace you, get in the way, automate. Like, what if Uzi says something stupid? Then you look stupid, right? Like we don't want that. We want you to always be in charge, the human in the loop. So the report will go to you, you look at it, review it, make sure you love it, add your personalized touch to it, send it off. So
And
that's
what
how
if
lead
Huzi
capture
doesn't
will
like
work.
the fireplace in the living room because the fireplace is old and falling apart, but the sellers love the fireplace because their grandfather built it, and this is like a very dear thing to them. You don't want Huzi tearing it down, so you wouldn't want to just send it. You would just regenerate that block and not mention it, right? That's where your wisdom comes in.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I know we've gone a little bit over, so I'm just kind of fielding questions now. So whoever's on the call, like really thank you for being interested in Huzi. I want to stay and answer questions. But I want to wrap up with just one more thing as we look at this figure eight here. This will take us, this next year to really get a big chunk of this done. Um, and all along the way, it'll be done because you guys give us suggestions and feedback. It'll also be done because at Huzi, we're only hiring and associating with world-class people. So every single person, I want you to hear me say this, that every single person we have at Huzi is dedicated to your success, is dedicated to our customers' growth, is dedicated to this project. It's crazy. It's really cool to see. So when you guys raise your hand, say, I have a problem, I have a question, like I promise you, we're doing the best that we can to address it and get to it. And we want to be a world-class company. So I really appreciate Rick and Danielle helping put this on. I want to say that publicly as well. You guys are just great to work with. Really appreciate you. Okay. So that was just an awkward little public display of affection, but I had to
Well,
do it.
hey, I'll take that anytime. I will say, Jeff asked a question, how soon will this be in other states? He doesn't work in Oregon. This is not state specific. So if you might be referring to an earlier slide where we were sharing agent services.
I was just going to say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. Wherever I had that. Yeah. So just to be super, super clear, Huzi, currently we're running a couple of pilot programs at a couple of brokerages in multiple states across the country. Starting to work with some other partners in the title and mortgage world, also starting pilot programs there. We're focusing on our onboarding flows, our customer success teams, making sure that the technology is going to be safe, reliable, and perform the way we promise it. Those are key markers here. But that's nationwide. So the SaaS platform will be available nationwide, really at scale starting next month. Our agent services will be state specific, right? Because you really need specific geographic information to really close a deal properly. So we are opening now in Texas, Tennessee, and Oregon for transaction management and marketing services. Just to be super clear. Thanks for that question. Great question. Okay.
There's a question from Adam too, Eric, on can we
Yeah.
mass upload client database now?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, you could just put it right into the Spark patch. So you could literally just say, hey, Huzi, I copy and paste, 400 people in my database, copy and paste it right into the Spark pad and say, put this in my database for me. And Huzi will literally organize your database for you and put it in there for you. So the answer is yes. Yeah, even at bulk, which is pretty cool. So great question. Any other questions, technical questions that way? Okay. Okay. So here's the acts that I have for all of you. For certain, my email address is direct, eric@huzi.ai. If you have questions about becoming a member, if you have questions about a product, if you have a input, if you're interested in being an investor, if you're an investor and you have a question, contact me directly. Okay. eric@huzi.ai. We're forming a wait list also, and people are just interested. We'll go ahead and email out those links after this. So I didn't want to do a whole slide and all that kind of stuff. We'll email you and follow up with that information too. And before I have anything else, did I miss anything? Any other questions? I'm opening the doors here about anything in the company. Okay.
I just wanted to say it's really cool going from the very first versions that we had when we started with the Spark Pad, like literally that was it, right? And then just to see in the last year and a few months now how it's progressed to what we're playing with now and what we're actually using today and agents are actually using to get business today. It's just been crazy. So I can imagine what the next year and a half is going to look like.
I did look at the comment section real quick. Ben, hi Ben, by the way, and I see Ben has this like a shameless plug for real estate on virtual staging. Appreciate that. Just so you know, in our roadmap, very, very soon, virtual staging is a part of the play. Things like, oh, add blue sky to my listing photo for me. Oh, remove the garbage can, that's on the side of the house in this photo for me. So we're gonna have photo editing tools, virtual staging tools, all that stuff inside of Huzi, including even generative video, generative images, free marketing as well.
Matterport
All on
type
the
things.
roadmap. Yeah. Yeah, those are big. Those are tools that what we're doing is we're looking what all these best use cases are, what these technologies are possible, looking for the ones that are productive in this field, taking the ideas and implementing it into the flow of your business, right? So it'll make sense. Like when we serve up the staging tool as an example, you won't be saying, oh, I have staging. Let me go log in over here. And no, well, we're going to put it right in the flow. If you get a listing, you're talking pre-listing, here's your staging tool, right? Do you want to have access to this? Yes, click here. So that's how everything's going to work with Huzi. A little bit different than what you're used to. Yeah. Okay. I'm
Awesome.
honored that you took your time to come listen about what we're working on. It's the first time we did anything publicly like this. So thank you. Thank you for being here. And it's the first time that I was ready to kind of show behind the screens. So we're working in stealth mode. This team is great. Our early customers are really dear to us. Thank you. And we were working hard to make this a big company and a great company. So thank you guys for joining. I'll be available anytime. Email me, you know how to reach me. Cheers, y'all.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.